92.3 Nigeria Info. 9 minutes gone past 2. I am Gabriella. Today's the 28th day in the month of May, and today, every year, is marked as the World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Now, menstrual hygiene and health for millions of women and girls have been suffering since the outbreak of the pandemic COVID-19 and successive lockdowns. Some of the many issues are lack of resources and poverty, which has been impacting the ability of people to manage their menstruation and their health. Now, according to experts, the poorest sections of the society have been the worst affected in accessing menstrual hygiene products, especially during the pandemic. Menstrual health is a human right, I dare say. Yet menstruation can result in so many issues. We talk discrimination, we talk stigma, we talk exclusion against women and girls. It's stigmatized around the world, a fact likely to worsen, especially in this pandemic era. And so today I'll be talking with some guests on how we can leverage on this global commemoration on a day such as this to confront some of the issues women and girls face in this regard. So I've got joining me in the studio two amazing guests who will help me and help you understand and do justice to this conversation. I've got Kekeocha Anthonio, he's coordinator REDHELP Africa, as well as Dabota Omubo-Pepple, who is resource facilitator REDHELP Africa. Good afternoon, lady and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome. You are a typical African man, aren't you?
No. I think
Ensuring to express your African timeliness.
not really.
I think it's Wike's fault since everywhere is blocked.
I'm sorry for.
You want to blame it on Daddy Weeks, eh?
Someone has to take the fall.
Right. You're welcome, you both. Thank you for making time to be here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so let's start a conversation with you, Dabota. Now, when we talk menstrual hygiene, health, we always start a conversation with what really is menstrual hygiene.
Okay, so hygiene is just, in simple terms, practices you do or things you do to ensure that you're maintaining a healthy living. That's what I would say hygiene is. So we have personal hygiene, we have menstrual hygiene. So when we talk about menstrual hygiene, we're talking about what are the acts you should do, or what are the things you should do or prevent doing during your menstrual period. So that's what menstrual hygiene is.
Interesting. So when we talk menstrual hygiene, what are some of the things? What are some of the first things that come to mind?
That has to take me back to the whole menstrual bleeding stuff and why there has to be a menstrual hygiene. So from the basic understanding, like there are times in a month every woman bleeds like once monthly. Yeah, some people do 2 monthly, depends on how long the cycle is, but the average is once monthly. So during this period where they get to bleed, blood comes out from the reproductive organ out through the vagina and is out. Okay, so now during this period, there are certain things you have to do, which includes wearing a pad. So when we talk about menstrual hygiene, we talk about how properly do you wear that pad, how often do you wear them, how do you change them. We also talk about how do you dispose the pad that is already used when it's used. We talk about it's blood. You know, blood has I don't know if you've perceived blood when it's stayed out for long. It has a very foul, awful smell. So that simply means that if you are bleeding and you don't take care of yourself properly, you're going to have a particular smell. So we'll not talk about what is the personal hygiene you're going to do. How often do you have to bath? How do you have to wash up, to clean up? And that's just generally what we're talking about in menstrual hygiene.
Why is this such an important conversation? Why do we have to speak about it, especially at a time such as this?
Okay, so the reasons why we have to speak about it is because, one, we are from a part of the country that has a lot of religious and traditional stuffs, right? So you realize that you get to hear taboos like people who are saying their period is time of their, how I put it, they are defiled or they are dirty, they are not clean. People make reference to the woman in the Bible who was like the issue of blood. So as far as you're leaking blood, it means that you're not clean. Okay, so we have funny kind of myths, so I'll put them like myths and misconceptions about this attached to it that affect how people who see their period perceive themselves, which affects their self-esteem, which puts a kind of stigma on them. And also looking at the economic state of our country, it's going to affect how people actually use pads, how frequent they change pads. So someone can use one pad the whole day because the person can afford more than that. So that's why it's very, very important at this time to talk about it.
Now, I'm really glad that we have a man in our midst to have such a conversation as this. Rarely would you have men comfortable enough to have such conversations.
Yeah, that's
but
very
I'm glad
true.
to have Mr. Anthonio here, who is man enough to have this conversation. So let me ask you this. Why is Menstrual Hygiene Day marked on the 28th of every month?
Okay, let me break it down. When it started, I think in 2013, right, an organization, a German non-governmental organization, came together to raise awareness on menstrual hygiene. Okay, since then, the importance is actually to end period poverty as well as the stigma attached to periods. So, when they came together, they actually formed a coalition with other NGOs alike to actually raise their voices and awareness on truly what proper menstrual hygiene management is all about. This actually will help restore dignity among girls and women, promote actually quality education in some sense, because on an average note, some people drop out of school because of improper menstrual hygiene management and what unavailability of wash facilities in their schools or whatever. So it has become something of importance to have all these facilities and to talk about it, to raise awareness about it.
All right, so now let's talk proper menstrual hygiene management. When someone mentions that, what exactly would you like to see happen when you talk menstrual health management?
Okay, when we talk about menstrual hygiene management, we're talking about first of all, we talk about engaging the stakeholders involved, the government, other non-governmental parastatals and what have you. Then we talk about ensuring wash facilities are there in every public space to actually equip these young women and young girls to actually access these facilities that will promote an hygienic environment. Then we talk about ending period poverty. You know how much a pad now costs for some ladies, right? It's not expensive due to the amount in which they buy these products. It actually puts stink on how they actually access this product, which will actually lead to poor hygiene in some sort of way. So that's it.
Let me come to you, Dabota. When we talk menstrual hygiene, especially at the grassroots level, one of the things that you would find, a common reason why many women and girls do not, subscribe to using menstrual pads is because, they cannot afford it. So do you think perhaps more can be done in making these menstrual pads not just accessible, but affordable?
Well, actually, I think a whole lot needs to be done in ensuring that the pads are affordable and accessible. I would like to bring condom into this conversation, but then I just have to bring condom. Yeah. Condom is free. The organizations will give us condom. We can pick condom because we are trying to curb sexually transmitted conditions, right? Which are conditions people actually get because of maybe lifestyle or maybe by coincidence or something. But then this is menstrual cycle we're talking about. By virtue of being a woman and having hormones, you have this cycle, and it simply means that you're going to bleed every day. Every month. Why did I say every day? Every month. You bleed a minimum of 3 to 7 days. There's some women who bleed more than 7 days, some women who bleed 3 days, but that's like the range. So why shouldn't pads be affordable to an extent? It's something the government needs to look into, because, for example, I do like 5 days, and I use like averagely 3 to 4 pads a day, and normal always pad has like 8 in it. Right? I just told you I used 3 to 4. That means in 2 days, I've already used 1 always pad. That means before my cycle is out, I'll be talking about 3 always pad. And that always is about, last time I bought was like 500 something. I don't know if I think it has 650. So imagine how much I have to spend every month just because I'm having a natural cause kind of thing, which is say my period. So I think organizations and government needs to look into either putting a tag that this part should get to or shouldn't go above, or find a way to subsidize it and make it available, just like how they've done to condom, and condom is available.
You want to add something, Anthonio?
Or getting reusable sanitary materials like all these reusable sanitary pads and what have you. With that, will actually reduce the cost of.
But then, if we want to move, the thing about normal parts is that they are not reusable. Simply means that we are going to have less health complications and less health issues because once they use it, it's card.
So there are concerns with reusable.
Exactly.
Pads.
So if we want to talk about using reusable pads, we have to now talk about now the menstrual hygiene becomes like the main gist. You know, you have to educate these girls in the communities, which was like most of them don't even have access to water. Let's start with that basic stuff like water. You have to educate them about how do you use it, what's the care after, how do you wash it, how do you ensure that it's sterilized. Okay, and most times we advise that when you wash, you iron to help kill the microorganisms. How many of them have access to electricity to be able to iron it? So you now see that the reusable has more stirring questions and more stirring how over the disposable bulb, right, which is expensive.
Okay, let's talk about
why not empowering. Look at it from this point of view, empowering girls to actually make their own pads in some sort of way where they can access those materials for the production of pads. That's another good step forward too.
Yeah, that's quite something. But let's talk about the management, because I've had conversations with people who say, well, I use my sanitary pads. Does using a sanitary pad equate to practicing healthy menstrual habits?
Can you call me? I didn't get you.
So when you use a sanitary pad, you say, oh, I practice, healthy, safe.
But just because you use,
just because I use a sanitary pad,
hell no, no, not at all.
So let's talk about the healthy menstrual practices.
Okay, so why did you just do your hand like this? I don't understand.
No. I just want you to
like you just pass the ball, but take it and continue.
Yeah,
okay.
Lady, so it's on
okay, I get. Okay, so like we talk about changing the frequency of changing. Yeah, some people say 6 to 8 hours, but I always go with this. I don't always want to put a timeline to how long, because we all have different flows. Some persons have mad heavy flows, some people have light flows. So if you have light flows, yeah, that 6 to 8 hours works for you. But if you're someone with heavy flow, that 6 to 8 hours can't work for you. That means you have to do less than 6 to 8 hours. Right. That's one. How frequent you change the pad is one of the healthy practices. The second one is the clean up and the wash up after changing. Now, remember that the blood is coming out, right? And then the pad is worn, so there's a kind of contact between your skin and the pad. Simply means that blood is going to spill around. So at the point of changing, you're supposed to do a wash up. You're supposed to clean up the stale blood there. How you clean is also important.
So what's the right way to clean?
If I say forward, backward, people ask where it's forward and what's back. So from your vagina backwards to your anus. The reason why you do vagina to anus, I'm sorry, vagina and anus, I say it almost every day, right? I'm on air, okay. So the reason why you do from vagina to anus is because the anus has more microorganisms because of the physics that comes out. So if you do anus to vagina, it simply means that you're moving the microorganisms upwards to the vagina. But when you do the other way back, it simply means that you're not doing that. So that's another way to do that. So also a lot of girls who want to use black on this, which I know is cool because it helps shield the whole blood stuff. But the thing with dark on this is because it helps attract more heat. So if you wear, compared to when you wear white and wear black, when you wear black, you sweat more, heat is more. So you give more opportunity to the microorganisms to grow, right? So it's preferable to use light colored on this over black. That helps to reduce the amount of heat and the microorganisms that grow. So that's more of the personal hygiene stuff. And then also how you dispose the parts. Very important. Some people would just want to spill it and discard it. No, we don't want to do that. So all these basically they call them scavengers always go around ahead.
So what is the right way to dispose?
I prefer you cover it maybe with paper and then wrap it into a polythene bag, well wrapped and sealed, and then you discard. So you don't just throw it off and discard it like that.
The burning part too.
Okay, that comes with traditional views.
Some people burn.
Yeah, people do.
Is that healthy?
Is burning healthy? No. burning is not healthy because you're messing our climate, right? But burning helps to actually degrade it to a significant state of nothing is there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So whether or not it's more of a climate condition.
Exactly. So we don't encourage burning. But
okay. So we're going to take a very quick break now, and when we return, we'd like for you to join the conversation. Today is World Menstrual Hygiene Day. Whatever questions or concerns you might have as a woman or girl, or even as a man, whatever questions you might have regarding the women in your lives, you can call in and share. But don't go away. We'll be right back shortly after this.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162, and let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817 001 8162. That is 0817 001 8162. And let us connect you to your customers. Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book.
Let's talk.
All right, welcome back to the conversation on the sunny side on 92.3 Nigeria Info. It is World Menstrual Hygiene Day, and today I have guests with me in the studio who are helping us understand all about menstrual hygiene, what it is, what it's not, how you can better manage your mental health, menstrual health, that is, and what you should know as a woman and a young girl. You can join the conversation at whatever point you have a question. You can call in and ask whatever comment you might have as well. You can also call in and ask 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0007, or 0817 923 0009. My guests are Kekeocha Anthonio, who is a coordinator, REDHELP Africa, as well as Dabota, Omubo-Pepple, also a resource facilitator for REDHELP Africa. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
My name is Rose. I'm calling from Aju.
Go ahead.
Please, I want to know if cotton wool is good to use for menses. But my roommate, she prefers to use the cotton wool instead of the pad. And again, I think, yes, the pad is very expensive in the market. And besides that, I use always actually. But when I started noticing that it gives me boil, so I have to stop using it. The other one I switch into is more expensive than always. The last one I got is $850, and it's only turned inside. And the turn inside is not always enough for me because I have to change like 3 times daily. So if I'm buying, I need to buy like 2, which is quite expensive. It's very, very expensive. Like we young ladies that is earning a little, and we have other things to do. True is.
Oh dear, so sorry about that, but I think we got your question.
She
Cotton
asked
wool.
if we could use.
Yes.
So she can't really use cotton wool because cotton wool comes with particles. People don't know that it has tiny particles, and you won't really know the extent to how that particles could go in and then cause other issues for you. So since you can't afford always pad and your game to maintain your menstrual hygiene, then you can go for reusable pads.
Those come more affordable.
Yes, they are affordable, and then
so
you
why
can be
did
more
people not
cautious.
opt for that then?
I said earlier, the reusable pads come with more responsibilities.
Work,
yes, and some persons may be really careless with the personal hygiene and the whole sterilization and all that. So imagine if you use something that you don't sterilize well, and then you give it an avenue for microorganisms to grow, and then you reuse it. You put yourself at a higher risk of having infections.
I see. All right, let's get back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. Oh dear, please call back if you can. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead. Oh dear, whatever happened. You can also join the conversation via WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is 0809 030 6416. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. This beautiful foundation that Almighty God laid, that is a monthly menstruation or monthly menstrual cycle of women, through which the whole world has been collected. People should not set up stigma against women because of it. Yes, I want to correct the religious aspect of it. It was in the olden time, during the time of Moses, the time we call the generation of the law, that women on menstruation were seen as unclean. Then that was one of the reasons Jesus came and died on the cross, so that all that God has made under the sun will be clean. In that Old Testament time, the menstruation uncleanness falls on ceremonial law. And that was what the Holy Spirit destroys in the book of Hebrews chapter 9, from verse 1 to the end. So the death of Jesus Christ has removed that mentality of calling women on menstruation unclean.
Right. So no discrimination. That's what
they
you're saying.
are completely clean to the glory of God.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
He has a point.
He does, right?
Yeah, he's just trying to end the religious stigma attached from the Christian point of view. I think
Yes.
that's what he's saying.
Let's talk stigma for a minute. We've got about 28 minutes left. Let's talk stigma. I know that times are changing, times are evolving, people are getting more enlightened, education is on the rise. Do you think that the level of stigma that women and girls face today is at the same level it was years past, Anthonio?
Okay. That's what we hear. We here to actually raise awareness on the stigma. There's still stigma pending on this. Religious stigma is still there. Like this, the last caller actually made mention of the Christian part. That is his own view, but there's still other point these Christians make to actually back up their stigmatization against those menstruating. But now let's go to cultural wounds, the ones that are affecting. There are some people that are tribalistic, that still believe more in their culture. They believe that when a lady is actually seeing a period, she's not clean. In fact, some family don't even send their wards to school.
Oh, just because they're seeing their menstrual cycle.
Yeah, so why we're here is actually to tell them that with proper menstrual hygiene facility and proper menstrual hygiene management, they can actually access education as well, be in their period. It's just all about the accessing those facilities, like the water, the sanitary facilities well to do. I think UNICEF actually provided sanitary facility for all government schools. I think there is actually a law stating that any public space should have at least a well-equipped sanitary facilities. But yeah, in Nigeria, there's still little or nothing done about it. But at least we're not where we used to be. But at the same time, we need to do more.
We need to do more. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Good afternoon. All right, please call back. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, please, I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please, can you use clean clothes in place of sanitary pads during your menstruation?
Plain clothing.
Yes. So maybe
Like a piece of
white
cloth or
just
something.
in place of sanitary pad.
A piece of cloth in
Is
place
it
of a
hygienic?
sanitary pad.
Because I've seen some girls around my house, they use clean clothes in place of sanitary pad.
Okay. Thank you for your
Is
question.
it hygienic?
Okay.
There is no whether it's hygienic or non-hygienic. So we're involved from the sanitary napkin phase to the pads and to the reusable pad phase. So yeah, there could be some hygiene strain on this sanitary napkin based on the fact that the sanitary measures are sure to keep the napkin in better condition are there too. Those are things you look out for. So in that situation, if they are being adhered to, sanitary towels, napkin are being used to, like in the rural community where accessing all these sanitary pads are not common. So, but yeah, we've involved, like I said. So there are other the sanitary pads now by maybe the companies like Always and Lady Care and what have you. They are of a better they are well equipped, like in terms of hygiene. They are produced hygienically, so every hygiene protocol has been maintained before it's being sold out. So people actually refer to those ones more. But there is nothing bad if better hygienic sanitary measure is ensured in the napkins, so it can be still used. There is the sanitary napkin. People are still using sanitary napkins.
People still buy them.
I don't know if people buy them, but people still use them. I know in the rural community.
Something.
Yeah.
It's just like saying, it's just like, let me rephrase it, like saying using napkins and diapers. So the diapers are the pad, the sanitary pads, the non-reusable ones, and then the napkins are the reusable ones. So if you notice, the texture of napkins, if you're familiar with napkins, are thicker. The cotton is thicker, so it allows it accumulate and hold fluids. So whatever material they are using for the reusable parts should be able to hold fluid or blood for at least a period of time. If not, they will almost always be stained.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so it all has to do with, I think the more focus should be what type of material they're using and how they take care of the material that they're using.
Now, Anthonio, you mentioned something about, some of these big pad production companies who we are confident in their hygienic processes. How can a lady tell what pad to use in terms of hygiene? Because that's what you just mentioned. I wanted to take you from what you just said. Does that also mean that there are certain pads in the market that may have not been produced hygienically?
Okay, for a pad to be actually be accessible for the consumers, which are the people buying it, I think there are organizations or parastatals involved in ensuring the production is in a better hygienic condition. So I would believe that they are doing their work in assessing their facilities, their production facility, to ensure everything is in there in terms of standard of hygiene. Yeah, then the other phase, there could be other allergic reaction as a result of using the pad.
Just like the lady who mentioned she started having balls or something.
Yeah, I wanted to mention it. We have different skin and then we react differently. So I think for a lady, most people want to say Always because Always publicity is top notch and everybody gets to know about Always. But the other ones, there's Veroni, there's Lady Care.
There's so many of them.
Yeah,
Don't
there's
give
so
them
many.
a free
Oh,
market.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, but then I wanted to say something.
Yes, for a lady,
So
how can you tell?
It's try and error.
It's trial and error.
You can't tell which works for you. It's try and error. If you use and you start having rashes, you change to the next one till you find the one that suits for you. Some are light, some can take light flows, some can do heavy flows. So if the one you're using is a type that does light flows, you identify the one that can do heavy flows. Those ones contain more. So it's just try and error. There's no this one is good or that one is bad. It's try and error.
I see. All right. We'll get to WhatsApp shortly, but let's quickly take another call. All right, please do call back. The WhatsApp number is 0809-030-6416. Well, on WhatsApp, this is Good Day Gabby and your guests in the studio. Please, where can we get reusable pads? Is asking. I'm sure you can get them at any supermarket. I think.
So anywhere.
Easily accessible, aren't they?
Anywhere they sell stuff.
You can. All right. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Mr. Zion.
Mr. Zion, go ahead.
Scotland was one of the countries today their sanitary pads are given free to all the women. Why can't we imbibe the same measures here in this country? Most of our sisters who are of age to start selling their monthly oil, red oil, they can't afford all these big names you guys are calling there. Let us be sincere to ourselves. They cannot afford it. Is it wrong for us, we are discussing this issue now, it's also been forwarded to different state house of assembly. That is, the budget should be earmarked for sanitary pads for all the women of that locality, where they can walk up to the hospitals in that or either clinic, chemist or any shop with an inscription and hologram of Nigeria, free sanitary pads for females. Can't we also promulgate it? Because if most of these ladies should call you what they go through at that period of the month in their life, you will pity them. Some of them are being forsaken. Some of them, even their boyfriend will run away from them. Their husbands will run away from them. Even their own brothers will run away from them. And some of them have no choice. They will now resort to whatever means they can just to survive that era. And let's be sincere, that period in the life of a woman is very delicate and very important. So I was the opinion, if we can also move a motion or a bill in support of women to achieve this, let them have a free sanitary pad in this country or a subsidized rate. Since Biro is almost 15 naira. We can afford it. Let it be 15 naira, let it be 100 naira. A professional producer of.
Are you there? We lost Mrs. Zion's call there, but thank you so much. I think you made your point. Now, has there been any campaign for free sanitary pads?
Yeah. That's why REDHELP Africa is better. Actually, is we aim at ensuring if they should sell it, it should be as a reduced or subsidized rate, or given free. Like it was mentioned in the country, I think it's Ireland actually, that made sanitary pads for women free and accessible. I think there have been motion passed before now to ensure that these sanitary materials are being given at a subsidized rate, and I think there are NGOs alike that are actually pushing for free sanitary pad or reduce the rate at which, and these production companies, that is a sanitary pad production company, they are I think we should call down the class for them that will actually enable them to actually release their product at a subsidized rate. I think they're actually saying that government should reduce the tax, and which will in turn actually affect the total cost of selling the sanitary pad to the consumers. So, like I said, yeah, it's achievable if we actually implement, or all the stakeholders involved actually talk about it, we actually implement measures or laws actually are guiding these production companies.
Let's talk about the role of government. How would you rate Dabota, government's role, or rather, how would you rate government's participation in this cause for menstrual hygiene across the country?
Are you going to give me a scale like 1 to 10?
Yes, we can do a 1 to 10.
1.
One, wow, that's very low.
Actually,
Tell me why.
I think one, right? Because I don't think I've heard of any stuff that has to do with you could buy a pad for discourse or any subsidy attached to the pad, so any kind of policy that tries to ensure that the pads, like I think I mentioned earlier, the pads could have like a price tag that they shouldn't go above. Really, they are really, I know stuffs can be free, people think things should be free, but the truth is that for something to be free, somebody has to pay for it, or there has to be some kind of compromise somewhere. But then I don't think I've heard of any kind of compromise anywhere that has to do with sanitary pads.
And the government.
Yeah, it's even a part that they don't even talk about it. They don't even see it as something that should be looked into.
How can we change that?
I think the only way we could actually change that is having people who understand these burdens in the policy making system. Having maybe women who understand this, or men who really understand that people in the community basically do not have access to this and can't afford it. And then they try to find ways of making this affordable and accessible to people. That's just how it can work.
Like we run a strategic campaign across the country where we distribute sanitary pads to actually students in public school. I remember part of the school we went to there's a northern school actually we went to. The accessibility to these facilities or the sanitary materials, they're so low, so they were even happy. Some people said they will be mixing it with what they have been using, like they use the napkin, they will use the pads, and
just so it lasts longer.
Imagine those kind of situations. So like she said, those people stakeholders alike should actually come together, force the government, or tell the government to actually make laws that will help subsidize this rate for the consumers.
Now, let's talk about, we'll go back to the phone lines and messages shortly, but let's talk about stigma like we talked about earlier. You mentioned that, we're not where we were before now, but we still have a lot of work to do in that regard. How do you think we can begin to disarm people of the mindsets, of the wrong mindsets they have when it comes to menstruation?
I think by compulsory education on this subject matter in particular, telling people or telling the community, if it's a rural setting, educating them on what this is all about, providing facilities for them to see and to actually demonstrate this particular way of maintaining simple hygiene in their loci. That's actually a way to go by. Then now actually empowering them, actually you can actually donate to them, give them, make them to access this facility even for free. You can actually donate to a community. A community will see or find it useful for their use actually over time, knowing that they can access this facility and they know what this is all about, and that will go a long way. Okay. But education and awareness is actually the key.
You said education. I think I will still go back to the cultural foundation thing. We tend to see menstrual issues as a woman thing, right? You don't get
largely.
I think the first thing to do is not to see menstrual hygiene as a woman thing, but as a natural thing. Okay, that comes with reproductive age, because that's like the beginning of reproductive age. That's where the whole menstrual cycle stuff starts. So if you see it that way, and then far back as primary schools, when we teach our kids integrated sciences and then basic science, then we move to integrated science, and then we move to biology, we should teach them menstrual cycle. We should not make it sound like a girl thing. We should educate both the boy child, empower the boy child with that knowledge, and empower the female child with that knowledge. So doing that from the foundation helps us bridge the gap between, it's a woman thing, or it's a dirty thing, or it's like an unclean thing. So if we could start from the foundation to input this menstrual hygiene, maybe have it like a topic in these different courses, and talk about it generally, talk about what to do, what not to do, what to expect, how you can help. Even as a male, how can you help your sister who is in her circle, we see her period? That will go a long way to create changing the wrong perception about it. And then other awareness programs talk about it in churches, because people listen to their religious leaders talk about it in churches and all that way.
Another question: do you think we are right to want or wait for the government to get involved and provide some of the things that we need in terms of finance and infrastructure? Or do you think perhaps individuals who have the influence and the private sector can also come in and provide some of the things that we need in that regard?
Yeah, that takes me to the sentence. I think I mentioned that nothing is actually free. People always say free things. There's nothing that's free. For whatever service you get free, someone has paid a price for it. Or there was a compromise somewhere, and even in the compromise, a price was paid for it. I don't think we should wait for the government to make changes we actually want. We as individuals, I as a person, you as a person, can actually make those changes from our little communities. It could be from our churches, it could be from our kids' school. You could decide to do a mini pet project and give sanitary pads to girls. Okay, you could decide to use your social media platforms to talk about it. So we can't keep waiting for, I know if we want to talk about policies, then the government gets into the whole. So we want to talk about limiting a tax on those companies making it. Yeah, the government gets into it. But before it gets to the level where the government gets into it, individuals have to personalize this and be the one to be like in the forefront to talk about it and bring it to the notice of the government. So I think it's everybody's job to do, not necessarily the government's job to do.
All right, so we're running out of time, but let's talk about this year's theme and what is in line to commemorate this year's celebration.
What did you say?
What's the theme for this year's commemoration?
I'm coming. Just keep me. I think I have it, but I want to put the words together.
Okay. All right, so while you're doing that, let's read some messages on WhatsApp. This says, good afternoon. Since I started using a sanitary pad with an onion strip woven in it, I noticed that during changing, the used pad doesn't come with any odor and absorbs better. It is like a pad with an onion, is healthier and cost effective. Dabota, is that true?
A pad with iron.
Onion.
I really don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. Well, Sophia says menstrual hygiene is a topic in home economics. All right. So we'll take a final call and come back to Anthonio. Yes. Good afternoon.
Hello, Gabby, and your guests. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I've been listening to the conversation from the beginning. I think I want your guests to talk more about the emotional consideration of ladies during their menstrual period. Some of them suffer from very painful menstrual cramp, and they are not considered, especially in the workplace. Some of them are treated with a lot of disregard, discrimination. I've heard a man say, I can't share a room with my wife. I asked him why. He said, because sometimes she'll be in her period and he can't stand that. So I think I want them to look at, the support that ladies can get even while in their period. So a lady may be less effective in performance because she's under some pain. Okay, cool. Is it out of place to give her some leave for that day or 2 days or something? Or otherwise, not just be on her because she's not on her A game owing to some pain and some discomfort. I think I want them to talk about it.
I'm really glad you brought that up. Thank you so much. Let's talk about that. Do you think menstrual leave should be a thing?
Actually, I think it should be something we should consider. Back then in university, I have a classmate. Once it's that time of the month, you're sure not to see her in school for like a week, because she's going to take her tickets and go to the hospital and get admitted for that week. Like once it's that time of the month, it's that bad. She loses a lot of blood, she's in a lot of pain, she's so down, she can barely do anything. So yeah, that takes me to how does the whole cycle affect different individuals. So now, what happens during the menstrual cycle is that there's an increase in progesterone and estrogen, which are two different hormones which affect us differently. Some will make us so happy, some so active and all that. So you notice that some ladies, when it's that time of the month, they become more aggressive, more irritated, more they like to keep to themselves. So those changes are noticeable. And also there's dysmenorrhea, that's like menstrual pain. Some persons don't have menstrual pain at all. They don't even know what it is to have menstrual pain. But some persons' menstrual pain is mind-blowing. It's so bad that they can't get off their bed.
They pray for menopause early.
Exactly, they pray for menopause early. Same with how even the flow, it's very heavy. That's why I said we should not make it a woman thing. It's something we have to educate everybody.
Because it affects men in some way.
Yeah, because if you're married and your wife is having a terrible dysmenorrhea, it's going to affect everything in that house. That woman can't do anything. right? If it's your secretary that is having dysmenorrhea, she can't be functioning at the rate she's supposed to function.
Right.
So we also always have to understand, and then we also have to cut them some slack or give them some time to catch up on the whole circle and the series that it brings. And then he talked about emotional support.
Yes.
It's very important for us to be able to provide that support to them, especially for those who have fluctuations in their moods. You should try to understand, oh, this is that time of the month, this person will be irritated, so you avoid the person not to like trigger that
Yes.
circle, right? Or the person will be withdrawn, so you don't have to trace the person's face like,
So men need to learn to handle the women in their lives with their daughters
exactly.
during that time.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the only way they can learn to do that is to understand what they go through. So every man, every woman should both understand what we all go through.
All right,
It's a
sadly, our
shared
time is up. We
responsibility.
have to wrap the conversation up. Let's talk
Okay.
about the theme for
Okay.
this year.
Okay, the theme is actually action and investment in menstrual hygiene and health. Actually, this was formulated by a coalition of NGOs alike that are talking about ending menstrual or period stigma or period poverty. So now, in terms of investing in menstrual hygiene and health, how can you go about it? In terms of, you actually provide
It's more about making pads accessible and affordable. And
And
also,
sanitary
sanitary facilities, they go hand in hand. So I think the team is just focused about how can we actually lift up this burden by investing into making sanitary pads accessible, affordable, and sanitary facilities accessible too.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been quite an interesting conversation.
Thank
so
you
much.
for having us.
And happy
Sadly, the
Menstrual
time is
Hygiene Day
ending. Yeah.
to you both.
That sounds somehow, right?
All right, sadly, our time
Thank
is up,
you
and we
for
have to
having
wrap the
us.
conversation. But thank you so much for joining us today. It's been quite the ride. I'll be here again tomorrow. Yes, I'll be here at 2 p.m. So yes, tune in at that time. I will be on air on a Saturday. But don't forget to get interactive with us on socials, on WhatsApp, 0809-030-6416, on Twitter at Nigeria Info PH, on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, as well as on Instagram. Well, at 3 o'clock will be time for Rivers Today. Right after Dia will take you on Hard Facts. I'm Gabriella Anyanwu. Have a splendid afternoon.